Welcome to a new series I'm starting, which is The Great Pirates of One Piece, where I chronicle the life of major characters in the story and the impact they had on the world. What better way to begin the series than with the man who started it all, the Pirate King, Gol D Roger. Roger was executed 24 years ago at the age of 53. In these short years, he managed to conquer the Grand Line and create the Golden Age of Pirates. Let's look back on the life of the most influential character in One Piece. Roger was born 77 years ago in Log Town in the East Blue. His hometown is situated close to Reverse Mountain and is one of the entrances to the Grand Line. Not much is known about his childhood, but in chapter 588, Garp mentions that he was afraid of losing those closest to him and refused to run away from a fight. Roger might have spent most of his childhood alone or might have experienced the death of a loved one, hence why he is so protective of his friends. Garp mentioned that Roger had a childlike personality. When angered, he could be violent and short-tempered, but in his heart, he was pure like a child. So the exact time that Roger became a pirate is unknown, but we can deduce that it was in his early 20s. In chapter 506, as Rayleigh is narrating the life of Roger, Brook mentions that there was a rookie by the name of Gol D Roger during his era. Brook was sailing with the Rumbar pirates 52 years ago in the Grand Line, and Roger would have been 25 years old. This was probably when he met Silver's Rayleigh for the first time and uttered the iconic words, "Let's turn this world upside down." Rayleigh eventually became Roger's first crewmate and his right-hand man. He served as Roger's first mate for 27 years. This was also the first instance where we see Roger wearing the straw hat. This was passed on to Shanks and was given to Luffy 40 years later. During Roger's first voyage across the Grand Line, he gathered a crew of strong fighters. Rayleigh and Copacabana were the most senior members of his crew and had the most authority. Roger's crew mostly refers to him as captain, except for Rayleigh, who calls him by his name. Roger and Rayleigh shared a partnership rather than a captain and subordinate relationship. Roger visited numerous islands on his travels, one being Water 7, where he befriended Tom the shipwright. Tom built Roger's infamous ship, the Oro Jackson, which was made from the highest quality wood, which was from the Adam Tree. On his way to the New World, Roger traveled to Fishman Island and became acquainted with Neptune, who was serving as a knight in the army. After sailing for multiple years and overcoming the dangers of the Grand Line, such as the unpredictable weather and the deadly fauna, at the age of 38, Roger arrived at the final destination of the log pose, Lodestar Island. It took Roger approximately 13 years to reach the final island. The Roger pirates were the first crew to have ever traveled this far into the New World, but upon arrival, Roger noticed that the log poses went haywire and refused to point to a direction. Roger believed that there must be another hidden island, and the coordinates are mentioned in these mysterious red stones known as the Road Poneglyphs. In chapter 820, Inuarashi mentioned that the travelers who reached Lodestar eventually learned the importance of the Poneglyphs, and thus Roger began his journey for the second time to reach the true final island. After learning about the existence of the final island, Roger began hunting for the Road Poneglyphs. At age 39, Roger was involved in the God Valley incident. This event was erased from the history books, and the island known as God Valley does not exist today. This incident involved the conflict between two sides, the Navy, the Roger pirates, and the Celestial Dragons, against the strongest pirate crew that existed, the Rocks. The Rocks pirates consisted of big names such as Rox D Zebek, Edward Newgate, Charlotte Linlin, Shiki the Golden Lion, Captain John, and Kaido. Roger formed a temporary alliance with Vice Admiral Garp to defeat the Rocks pirates and protect the Celestial Dragons and their slaves. Rox D Zebek was Roger's most formidable opponent. They also shared the middle initial of D. While Roger's legacy is well known, Zebek's past has been lost to time. The world government covered up many of Zebek's crimes due to their forbidden nature. Roger and Garp wiped out the Rocks pirates, and Zebek died during this incident. The Rocks crew disbanded, and the big-name pirates like Newgate, Linlin, and Kaido started forming their own crews in the upcoming years. During the aftermath of this incident, Garp became known as the hero of the Navy, but he prefers not to talk about this event because he teamed up with a pirate. Roger and Garp's actions are still a mystery to this day. Garp has been critical of the Celestial Dragons and their false sense of superiority, and Roger values freedom above all else. For these men to protect the world nobles and their slaves, they must have had a very good reason. After the God Valley incident, Roger resumed his journey to find the road poneglyphs. The first one he obtained was from Big Mom. Roger also came across numerous Rio poneglyphs which contained the true history of the world and contained the secrets of the Void Century. Although Roger possessed the voice of all things and could hear the voices of the poneglyphs, he could not decipher their exact meaning. Without being able to read the poneglyphs, Roger could not reach the final island. Years go by, and at age 47, while traveling on the Grand Line, Roger stumbled upon a newspaper. It mentioned the 2nd Division commander of the Whitebeard Pirates, Kozuki Oden, a samurai from the land of Wano. This was also the first time that we see Shanks and Buggy as part of the Roger Pirates. They were apprentices on Roger's ship, and both of them are around 9 years old. Shanks and Buggy were probably just infants when Roger took them under his wing. Roger mentioned in chapter 966 that it's been a while since he held a child, and it reminds him of the old days. This was probably referring to Shanks and Buggy. As Roger's journey continues, tragedy suddenly strikes. At age 49, Roger was diagnosed with a terminal disease. Roger recruited Crocus from Reverse Mountain, who was one of the best doctors in the world, in order to lessen the pain. Crocus agreed to join the Roger Pirates on the condition that he could look for the remnants of the Rumbar Pirates, the people who Laboon is waiting for. Roger was running out of time, and he pitched a final voyage to his crew to find the remaining road poneglyphs and reach the final island. At age 50, Roger was approached by the Golden Lion Shiki and his fleet. Shiki suggested forming an alliance with Roger to take over the world. Roger naturally refused, as he valued his freedom above all else. A great sea battle ensued between the Roger Pirates and Shiki's fleet. This was known as the Ed War. Shiki was eventually defeated, but he gained an enormous amount of respect for Roger's strength. A year after the Ed War, the Roger Pirates were engaged in battle with a navy squad. On the same island, they noticed that Whitebeard's ship had landed. Roger, who was now 51 years old, was excited to meet his longtime rival, Edward Newgate. On this unnamed island, Roger and Newgate clashed for the first time in years. A battle ensues for 3 days and nights between the Roger Pirates and the Whitebeard Pirates. On the 4th day, they decide to call a truce and start exchanging gifts. Oden, Whitebeard, and Roger have a drink and talk about the poneglyphs. Roger learns that Oden can read and write the ancient text. The Kozuki clan were master craftsmen and were the creators of these indestructible stones. Roger begs Whitebeard to let Oden join his crew for 1 year so that he may reach the final island and fulfill his dream of circumnavigating the world. Whitebeard initially refused but was later convinced by Oden. Roger departed this island with Oden and his family. Nekomamushi and Inuarashi also sneaked onto Roger's ship as they were Oden's retainers. With Roger's ability to hear the voice of all things and Oden's knowledge of the ancient text, finding the poneglyphs became a lot easier. On his final voyage, Roger traveled to Skypiea upon hearing the voice of the poneglyph under the bell of Shandora, and Oden carved Roger's message onto it. Roger and Oden traveled together for a year and visited numerous islands such as Tequila Wolf, Water 7, and Sabodi Archipelago. Roger obtained the 2nd road poneglyph from Fishman Island, where he also learnt of the prophecy of the mermaid princess who will be the ancient weapon, Poseidon. The 3rd road poneglyph was acquired in Wano with the help of Oden, and finally the 4th one was found on Zou with the help of the Vivre cards from Nekomamushi and Inuarashi. On Zou, Roger meets a young mink named Pedro and tells him that everyone gets their time to shine, but it's not his turn yet. At last, Roger's journey for the poneglyphs come to an end. It took him 14 long years to find the 4 road poneglyphs and several Rio poneglyphs. Finally, at the age of 52, Roger did the impossible. He conquered the Grand Line. On that elusive final island where no one had set foot for 800 years, Roger learnt the true history of the world, the meaning of the D-Clan and the ancient weapons. In the face of that great treasure left behind by Joy Boy, and after a 27-year-long journey as a pirate, Roger just laughed. He named the final island Laugh Tale. The world branded Roger the Pirate King and named his treasure the One Piece. Roger was too early to witness the dawn of the world. The Sea Kings near Fishman Island suggested that 2 sovereigns will be born in 10 years and will grow in 15 years. Roger was 25 years too early to use the One Piece, but he achieved his goal of completing a full circumnavigation of the world. After achieving his lifelong dream, Roger Roger thanked his crewmates and disbanded the Roger Pirates. Before departing on an island, he gave his hat to his closest friend, Rayleigh, and told him, "I won't die, partner." Roger's terminal disease was in its final stages, and he did not have long to live. During his retirement, Roger had one final drink with Whitebeard, where they discussed the will of D. Roger offered Whitebeard the details of how to get to Laughtail, but Whitebeard was not interested. Roger also met a woman named Gol D Roger in the island of Batarilla in the South Blue. They eventually became lovers, and Roger became pregnant with Roger's son, who he named Gol D Ace. Ace was named after Roger's beloved sword. Finally, at the age of 53, Roger turned himself into the Navy. Roger and Garp had their final meeting, where Roger entrusted the safety of his unborn child to Garp, stating that a newborn bears no sin. Roger deeply trusted Garp as if he were a crewmate and knew that he would look after his child. While Roger was imprisoned, Shiki attacked Marineford in disbelief that Roger was captured by the Navy. Shiki admired Roger's strength and could not accept that he was going to be executed in the weakest sea in East Blue. Vice Admirals Garp and Sengoku defeated Shiki and locked him up in Impel Down. Roger was said to be executed in Logtown, the place of his birth. Many notable individuals were at his execution, such as Doflamingo, Crocodile, Moria, Shanks, Mihawk, and Dragon. All of these individuals went on to make their own mark on history. In his final moments on the execution platform, Roger laughed at his own death. His final words were heard throughout the world. "Find it. I left everything this world has to offer there." This simple sentence sparked the Great Pirate Era as we know it, and Roger's legacy was immortalized in history.